Hi everyone, Monica here, and as promised, I'm going to show everyone how I made this flower here, which actually is a smaller version of this flower here, which I called Hearts Rose because you make it by using punched out hearts. It's a really simple flower to make. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to punch out a bunch of different, well, not a bunch of different, about 12 or maybe even to 20 hearts. Depending on how big you want your flower is the size heart that you're going to use. This one here is actually an inch, and this heart here is actually an inch and a half, which actually is going to give you this flower here, which you can see is a lot bigger and fuller than this flower here. So when you make it the smaller size, you can use these on cards and stuff like this. But when you make flowers, this size, I usually put them on like wreaths, or I use it on my altered art projects that I may make and stuff like that. So you can actually make the flowers different sizes just depending on how big of a cut you're going to use. What I use is I use this retro punch here to punch out what I call the base of the flower, or what I can lay the petals on as I'm gluing them. And what you're going to do is you can ink the edges, or you can use glimmer spray to make it, a nice different color. I like to spray it with at least water or something because it makes molding the paper easy. But this particular paper here is Creative Memory, so it's not very thick, but it's thick enough so that the flower retains its shape, but it's easier to mold because it's not as thick. So I inked the edges, and I did this, beforehand, and all you're doing with this heart is you're taking the two sides here and you're curling the petal down. And I'm using a not popsicle stick, a toothpick to actually do this. And I just curl the petals down over the popsicle stick just like that, each side just like that, so it ends up looking like this. And then in the middle I lay the toothpick down the middle of it, and I just sort of fold the heart over it just like that to where the two edges meet up, or basically you're folding the heart in half. So what you kind of end up with is like a wavy or even sort of an S looking shape on all the hearts. And all you're doing is, I started doing this one already, is you're taking your glue, you're putting it at the very edge of the heart here on the tip, just like that. I usually use my hot glue gun because it's a lot faster. And you're just going to lay the hearts in between all the little creases on the flower, just like that. You're going to keep going to have it totally full. Like I said, I had started some of these hearts earlier, so it wouldn't take quite as long. And this glue doesn't want to come out. And that's why I like my hot glue gun for stuff like that, because it glues faster and it dries a lot faster than some of the glues that you have out there. So you're just going to keep doing that until you get the whole thing full all the way around. And then what you're going to do once you have that first layer laid down is you're going to start layering. And what I mean by layering is you're going to start putting the next heart like in between it. You don't want to lay them like right on top of each other because it doesn't give you a nice like full fluffy look to the flower. And you're just going to keep doing this all the way around until you get, I usually do about 4 layers, which you can see here. This one may have 5. It's actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. And all you're doing is, once you totally got it done and all layered up, you're just going to start fluffing up what you did by just pulling the petals towards the center, or even like balling it up in your hand just like this. And then you end up with this little full flower. But then what I like to do is I like to punch a hole through the middle, just like this. So you got a hole straight through the middle, and it's easier for you to stick your stamen through the middle of it. That way you have a nice, it stays in there better because you can pull it through. See how it's just like that? You can hold it, and then you can apply the glue around the inner circle part here, and then it helps hold the stamens a lot better than I know some people tend to cut it and then they put the glue down in there and they glue the stamens like right on top. But I feel like if you take your stamens through the middle, apply the glue, then all you're going to have to do is just cut this piece off, and then it's just got a better hold to me. So, and this is how this flower here is done, just like that. And then with having this as a base of the flower, what you can kind of do, what I like, is you can kind of pull these down, and say like if you cut it green, you could have like, it would kind of make it look like a leaf, and you can stick this on the end of a stick, to stick in a vase or something like that. But then you have a nice little thing that you can hold, and it kind of looks like a bunch of little leaves coming down from the flower. Or you can just leave it, just like that. But all these flowers were made by using hearts. Like I said, depending on what size you punch or cut your heart out is how big your flower will be. And this flower here, using the 1.5-inch heart, measures to about 2 3/4 wide, and it stands about, I have measured it, it's like 1.5 inches tall. So it's a pretty big flower. But this one here, like I said, when I punched out the smaller 1-inch heart, you get a smaller flower that you can use on your cards, and just different stuff like that. So, because I have a lot of people wonder, are the flowers too big for you to use on cards and stuff? And it just depends on how big you cut out your punches. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed my quick tutorial on how I made this heart's rose. Next week, I'm going to be showing everyone how I made this flower here, which is actually a different shape. It's more frilly looking. The ends are a little bit different. But if you're interested, come back next week and check out my next video on how I made this flower here. Thanks.